And so today we'll be looking at how DNA can be used for forensic analysis, specifically how DNA fragments are amplified through PCR or polymerase chain reaction in order to create a DNA fingerprint. We'll be using this DNA fingerprint to figure out and identify a culprit using VNTR, or variable number tandem repeats, which are places on a genome that have repeating nucleotide sequences. By looking at the differences in length shown later in our scenario, we can see instances where individuals are related. So let's start off with our scenario here. And so it is a dark and stormy night. Our protagonist, Kermit, he wants a midnight snack, and it's a cookie. However, as he nears his cookie jar, he realizes that it's empty, and he is also able to witness a shadowy figure in the door who is the culprit, but they're able to get away. And so Kermit is able to collect DNA to send it in for testing, and we are going to look at it now. And so in our first VNTR locus, what we're really looking for is an overlap in the bands, shown in blue, which I've color-coded, and then looking at, for example, the DNA that Kermit collected right here, and our suspect 1, you can see that it is a match, the bands overlap. And then for suspect 2, they are overruled, they're not a part of this because none of the bands match in our first locus. And then suspect 3 would also be considered as a possible culprit because it matches. And suspect 4 would also not be considered because the bands do not match. And then looking at locus 2, we see here that our DNA is now down here, and the bands, looking at suspect 1, who was originally matched, they do not match anymore. So suspect 1 is crossed off the list of culprits. And suspect 2 matches in our locus 2. However, in locus 1, they did not match, so our suspect 2 would be also crossed off. When we look at suspect 3, we can see that it matches, and so our suspect 3 would be our culprit here because the DNA matches and the bars match right here, the bands. And suspect 4 was already not considered. And so our culprit for our scenario is purple blob. And so in our scenario, Kermit is also looking for his fatherly figure, who he suspects is one of the 4 suspects. And so looking at Kermit, or our victim / witness, his DNA here, you can see that one of the bands match up with suspect 4 over here, meaning they have one common allele, which we can see later is one same allele for both locus. And then here in locus 2, it also matches right up here. And so suspect 4 here, our little ghost rabbit, would be Kermit's father.